Nigeria's conflicts are often explained through emotion, fear, outrage, blame, but rarely through clarity. Yet the way we name insecurity often determines how we respond to it, and whether these responses prevent violence or unintentionally deepen it. In this episode of the Delimi PROSPER Project, we examine what happens when insecurity is misframed, when environmental pressure, resource competition, and criminal violence are collapsed into simplified narratives that obscure more than they reveal. My guest is Samuel Aruwan, a security governance practitioner whose career has spanned from journalism to strategic communication to information management to internal security administration. Drawing on that rich mine of experience, we explore why emotional narratives can undermine public policy, how misdiagnosing conflict can lead to failed interventions, and what strategic clarity actually requires from institutions, from the media, and from the public as well. This is a conversation about language as a security factor, prevention over reaction, and how Nigeria and Nigerians can think more carefully about the conflict it hopes to resolve. Samuel Aruwan is a Nigerian security governance practitioner, strategic communication specialist, and former journalist with over 2 decades of experience, spanning media, public communications, as well as internal security issues and administration. He began his career as a reporter and later served as bureau chief for national newspapers, covering governance issues from all over the country, as well as conflict, particularly in northern Nigeria. Samuel Aruwan subsequently moved into public service, serving as senior special assistant to the governor on media and publicity, to the governor of Kaduna State, before moving on to become the pioneer commissioner for internal security in Kaduna State. The portfolio was internal security and home affairs, a role which he held for 2 terms. In this capacity, he was deeply involved in crisis management, called interagency cooperation, intelligence-led governance, as well as the de-radicalization and reintegration frameworks. Samuel Aruwan holds a master's degree in strategic communications and has received advanced certifications and professional training in fields such as counterterrorism, conflict transformation, and critical infrastructure protection. Samuel Aruwan's work focuses on non-kinetic security, narrative discipline, and the institutional failures that allow conflicts to escalate. So, before we talk about media and strategy, I want to begin with place. When you think of Kaduna, Kaduna, our beloved Kaduna, not as a conflict zone, but as home. What do you see here or remember first?
So many things. I came from Kaduna. And what do I say? I come from Kaduna.
Yeah.
Kaduna is my home. My parents were born in Kaduna. Everybody in the family was born in Kaduna. Kaduna is actually the place that made one what he is and sitting with you. So Kaduna means so many things to me. It is home. It is a place that one finds peace and protection and everything. And I also agree with the popular aphorism that when Kaduna catches cold, or when Kaduna sneezes, the entire country catches cold. When Kaduna catches cold, the entire country sneezes. Or again, you hear about Kaduna is a thermometer.
For the country.
Yeah, for the country. So, and Kaduna is everything. Yeah.
Thank you. Many of the conflicts that are described as security crises often begin as disputes over land, water, grazing routes, or livelihoods. So from your experience, at what point do environmental pressures tip into organized violence? I'm speaking, of course, in the context of Kaduna with, its threat profile, ethno-religious conflicts, farmer header, and.
Well, like you said, Kaduna is very complex. Kaduna was the capital of the defunct northern region. And when you look at the centrality of Kaduna, the strategic nature of Kaduna, the establishments in Kaduna, that itself is a hub for complexities and diversities. And when complexities and diversities meet at the meeting point, definitely there will be a reaction.
Yeah.
And again, if you also look at the history of Kaduna, Kaduna is a make-up of people of different culture. That itself is a point that has been a source of threat to peace and law and order. And before independence, there are other issues that happen around ethnicity, around religion, and other factors that societies will contend with in the course of integration, so to say. But on the ground, like I said, the emergence of natural reaction like climate change, global warming, and other natural reactions that one could link with what I've just mentioned set another challenge.
Okay.
Access to water, access to fertile soil, pastures, these natural products, do I say? These are just natural endowments.
Yes.
That
finite.
Yes, finite, that too many both farmers and also headers compete for.
Absolutely.
Now, the movement of headers is surely dictated by water and pastures.
Absolutely.
And also environment where livestock will be free from tsetse flies and other diseases, so to say, that are limitations to the growth, and sustainability of the livestock. On the other hand, again, the farmers too, also their movement, if you look at some migration in northern Nigeria or elsewhere, you will agree with me that farming too has been a basis of migration, because people will now move to farmlands or to locations where they can be able to farm easily, where there are plants, where there are crops, where they can have so many crops or so many farms produce that they may intend to make out of their farming. So in between, because there's the climate change has actually affected, what I would call the naturality of those natural endowment.
Yeah.
Hence, we begin to have misunderstanding and what have you. I will give you an example. When I was growing up,
Yeah.
there's this locust beans that is called the dawa.
The dawa. Okay.
Now, virtually weekly, there will be about lorries or trucks that were conveying these locust beans from southern part of Kaduna to the northeastern part of the country.
Okay.
And what was it for? It was meant for fishing. These locust beans were produced in the southern Kaduna general area.
Okay.
And taken onward or forward to Baga axis.
Okay.
In Borno State.
Okay.
Because at that time the Lake Chad was flourishing. Fishing activities was a very booming business or industry.
Yeah.
Now this locust beans was used, like an enhancer, to entice
fish. Interesting. Yeah.
But when we begin to have dry up
of the Lake Chad. Yes.
And the fishing activities actually dropped as well.
Yes.
Now, it also affects,
communities in southern Kaduna.
Communities in southern Kaduna who were involved, women who were involved in making of the locust beans.
Interesting.
So now you can see that this is how a natural reaction, of a natural endowment, could affect the ecosystem of the farmer and also the pastoralist. Yeah, another factor is with the low intensity of the rainfall.
Yes.
Coming as a result of another natural reaction.
Yes.
With deforestation.
Exactly.
And what have you, we begin to see pastoralists moving from, the areas that are experiencing, forestation problems, added with shortage access of water. We see them moving towards central
further
Nigeria,
south, yes,
further south,
and staying longer.
And in between time, this migration overwhelmed, the limited access to water, and the limited pastures, and that itself becomes a conflict, So, and again, even beyond Nigeria, going forward deep into the Sahel, because there's a water crisis in the Sahel.
The River Niger.
We saw another movement of the transhumance headers.
Yes.
Who are also moving toward in search of the water and pastures, and also
which is shrinking,
and also environment.
Yes.
Because there are situations where livestock will grow better, with either cold or heat, depending on the peshi, depending on the circumstances.
Yes.
So because they are moving in search of comfort, so to say.
Yes.
Because the livestock in this context is very important to the pastoralists. So in between movement, you see them, you see a lot of conflict emanating as a result of some of these issues that I mentioned. And again, policy makers or leadership that could have dealt with these problems, you also realize that they have limited understanding of where this problem is coming is coming from. And don't forget, in the beginning, I have also talked about the fact that we were sitting on top of existing challenges,
fault
lines. You have issues related to religious issues.
Differences.
You also have issues around indigenous and settler dichotomy. And many more. We also have issues, fault lines that you can link to history, where
Absolutely.
this particular ethnic group, is accusing another ethnic group of whether cultural domination
or
political marginalization,
Yeah.
And what have you. So these are some of the issues, that actually overwhelm leadership. Leadership at all levels. Not one is not limiting this to maybe state leadership,
State governments.
community leadership. Nobody was anticipating what we saw or what surfaced,
Yeah.
so to say. So it becomes a very, very difficult case. And even if you check it from the health sector as well,
Yeah.
there are other factors, that came with the climate change, whether global warming. We hear issues about emission, carbohydrate.
Yes.
A lot of issues that are related to that, which also affect our well-being and health. So to come to a close, these challenges that we are facing from climate change covers so many aspects of our life. At times you go to the airport, you hear of flight cancellation,
Being delayed and all
which
that.
is linked to weather,
and
and what have you. Again, you also you plant ginger, for instance, in southern part of Kaduna within the last 2 years. We heard about farmers who actually invested so much in ginger. Unfortunately, there was this outbreak of a certain is it termite or disease?
Yeah, there was a disease outbreak.
Yeah, there was a disease outbreak that really affected, a bumper harvest they were expecting from
the ginger.
So issues related to weather, environment, climate, has multiple implications. Yes, they can also make livestock to be very expensive.
True. Adding more pressure,
and it will also add. It will make the product, the price to be so exorbitant. So you begin to wonder what exactly it is.
Yeah.
So it's something that is cumbersome, and is very cumbersome, very complex, with a lot of ripple effects that it caused.
Yeah, so I'd like to take from what you said. So some of these things are environmental stress, and environmental stress is long term.
Yes.
Yet the political responses to environmental threats often tend to be short-term responses.
Yes.
So how does this mismatch affect the way governments in North Central and Northwest Nigeria respond to resource-based tensions?
Well, if you look at it generally, in this part of the world, you will agree with me that Africa as a continent was late in reaction, in issues related to environment, climate change, in comparison with Europe, America, and other continents.
Yes.
Because they invest so much in research, they invest so much in foreseeing negativity that could come in the future.
Yes.
So they've been able to plan their
early warning systems.
They've been able to plan very well. You can see that 15-20 years ago in the United States, they are actually talking about gas flaring. How did they control it? You can see 15-20 years ago in the industrial hubs across Europe, they begin to redefine the operations of these industries on their environment, looking at the consequences. So they have gone far in comparison with us here.
True.
Now, coming back to us and in line with your question, like I said, generally in Africa, our response came very late.
True.
And our response came following the biting of the reality. When we begin to experience incessant conflict, when we begin to see instability over mining, which you can also link to environment.
Absolutely.
What do we call this? is it gold poison?
Yes, artisanal mining,
Yeah.
gold poisoning from
Yes.
artisanal mines.
So when we begin to have all those factors, you know, and government was able to see it as a necessity, you know, it's something that requires due attention, and we begin to have a lot of initiatives, you know, that will contain the situation. And I believe across the country, there's hardly a state at the subnational where there's no ministry dedicated to environment. And if you also go to Ministry of Environment, there are other state action committees or task force or special committees that are dedicated to addressing some of these issues. You can see Nigerians' participation in so many fora across COP20.
COP.
Yes, we've seen a lot of things.
Yes.
There has been a lot of action committees, you know, at the federal and at the subnational level, like I mentioned. And again, if you see what is happening in the rural northern Nigeria, or rural Benue or rural Plateau and Kaduna, again, you will also agree with me that the people, the locals there, are also waking up. They are also taking measures, you know, as they are also taking measures and advisories, you know, towards securing of environment.
Okay.
And government is also doing so much about the issue of access to water, you know, access to pastures, because they will play a significant role in the reduction of conflicts that are occurring as a result of the intense competition over water pastures.
That's true. You've written on several occasions about Nigeria's internal security crisis, particularly on the issue of banditry, which you have had extensive experience of in Kaduna. It's often framed through emotion rather than clarity. So this is my question. What do you mean by an emotive narrative in the context of our insecurity?
Okay, when I was talking about reframing narratives of Nigeria's banditry, you know, the need for us to move from emotional narrative to strategic clarity. What I'm trying to say is, let's look at the problem from its roots.
Yeah.
You know, let's look at a problem beyond ethnic profiling, beyond identity. Let's look at problems from the root, like I said, and how we can be able to come together and solve the problem. Because the media is very strategic. Media is everything. Media is key. So reframing the conversation, you know, from the negative angle into positive angle, where we will appreciate the fact that the problem affects every one of us, and the solution, you know, will also benefit all of us. So that is the main thrust of what I was trying to say, that when you are analyzing the problem, you have to look at the implication of the problem without a recourse to sentiment, without recourse to stereotype, without recourse to negative profiling that will make solution very difficult. Yeah, diversities and complexities are part of the human race. We can make best use of our diversities for good, instead of making much based use of our diversities in a very negative way. Experience has shown across Africa and beyond that from the very moment we don't tackle a problem from the prism of the problem, we will not be able to solve the problem. We saw what happened in Rwanda, for example. Like I always say, yes, the world witnessed the genocide in Rwanda in 1994, but there are other activities that have taken place long before the genocide.
Yes.
Now, those gradual activities are what culminated into what we experienced in 1994. So, better you face a problem, rather than recourse to emotional narrative that only appeal to sentiment and other prejudices and biases. That is the basis of my submission. And if you also look at conflict generally that we're experiencing in central Nigeria, we've not been able to find a permanent solution because we are all driven on one lane of emotional narrative,
yes,
where people are speaking, not looking at the solution from the benefit of all. People are looking at the solution and problem, absorbing their own sentiment and prejudices, and we cannot be able to move that way. And in that piece, I was able to also come up with past histories that have shown that communities who are after each other's throat at the moment have a long history where they cohabit, they respect one another, they cooperated together many years ago, at a time where there wasn't advancement like we now have. Because when you look at the advancement in science and technology as it is today, you can't compare it with the way it was 50 or 100 years ago. So if people that lived 50 years ago, 100 years ago, with so many limitations, were able, to understand one another, and live, though with challenges, but the bloodshed, that we are witnessing, in 21st century, is beyond what one can imagine. So what we are trying to say is, let's have an empathy communication. We should all understand that whatever that happens to you is directly linked to me. Let me also think that way. There's no point for me to feel that my race is higher than yours, I'm more important than you. No. Let it be like what the Americans will say, we are all one, nothing about us without us.
Absolutely. So there's a sense that journalists and policymakers, state policymakers, are often talking past each other.
Yes.
Journalists are saying one thing, government officials are saying another thing. You have moved from journalism and conflict reporting into the Center of State Security Coordination in Kaduna State. So my question is this. How did this transition change how you thought about language, not just policy, the language itself of communicating? And were there phrases that you stopped using when you entered government? How did you manage to pull off a successful tenure?
Well, for me, looking at where I come from, I was born in Kaduna, like I said, and I came from a mixed community.
Okay.
And very early, I have contacts across all the boards. And coming to family, so to say, my two parents came from one of the most popular ethnic groups after Hausa in Kaduna State.
Okay.
And my stepmother also comes from another populous group. And my grandmother on my maternal side is also coming from another populous another group, so to say. So for a very long time, while growing up and coming up to become a journalist again, it has really shaped one. Now, to come back to the centrality of your question, I think what I have learned in public service in the course of my work, either as a spokesperson of the governor and government of Kaduna State, or as commissioner is to be strategic, and to be circumspect, what to say, what not to say, how to observe the feelings of the people, how to be prompt as well in responding to problem. And no matter what you will do, no matter what you do, and no matter what I do at that point in time, there are still people, that will always find fault with what you do. And some people want you to take a side. Some people may not even understand that the way and manner policies are driven or government actions are taken, they are collective. And the lens at which we are looking at issues, we're not looking at issues from individual point of view.
Yes,
we are
collective.
working collective with empirical evidence. Now, if you look at Security Council, Security Council is only presided by the governor of a state. But the members of the Security Council, especially the heartbeat of the Security Council, is the core security that comes from the military, the police, the Department of State Services, and other paramilitaries. Now, these are agencies that are involved in operations and also intelligence gathering. Now, intelligence and operational feedbacks are put on the table, to be seen within the lens of doing what is right, so I have to find a solution. It is not about your ethnicity, it is not about your religion, it is about the human life, it is about statutory state responsibility that is on the shoulders of security agencies and government to ensure that there is law and order. So this is basically how it is being run. There is no government that will want citizens to be in danger. There is no government that will not be alive to responsibility on the basis of sentiment and what have you. But then, no matter what you do, there are still a section, there are still individuals, there will still be groups who will not be happy with you. So, working as the liaison of Kaduna State Government and security agencies in the area of internal security of Kaduna State in the time that I served was quite challenging. It was quite demanding. You come a lot of under stress. There are so many things to respond to. You can't sleep early, and you also have to wake up very early. Okay, the time that once you are at work. You really don't know when you will call it a day. It's something very emotional when you also look at what you have to go through. Imagine one day at around 2:30 a.m. I got a distress call from a traditional ruler, whose house was surrounded by bandits.
Oh wow!
And he sneaked into the roof, to call me, and was struggling to speak. And he was telling me that if I don't hear from him again,
oh dear,
he's no more, because bandits have just circled his house, and I could hear them. I could hear the gunshot.
Oh dear!
So imagine that situation. Just
it's heartbreaking.
It broke me completely, and I got across through the military formation that was very close to that location.
Yes,
I got across to them alongside with the police, and the feedback they gave me was, well, Commissioner, you know the environment, you know this terrain very well. Before we could get to this very location, the lease is about 1 hour 30 minutes.
Oh wow!
And this is night, you know, it is still dark, and we can run into ambush. And
Yes.
So it's just
Heartbreaking.
It's just heartbreaking. And at the end of the day, he made it.
Oh wow!
You know,
Thank God for that.
So, but we have to pull him out from that very. Then there is so many things that when you remember, you know, it's just there's a musician who sang a song and said that there are days that he wants to remember, and there are days that he doesn't want to remember. You know, like the attack on the Kaduna bound train. Is a day that I don't want to. I don't want to remember.
No.
You know, there was another boy whose father was shot. You know, and the bullet penetrated through the father and hit the boy.
Oh dear.
He was minor.
Oh dear.
And I rushed the boy to Borodiko teaching hospital in Kaduna, you know, and I was hoping that he will made it. So when doctors started attending to him, I left to catch up with another emergency at the Air Force base. So I was very close to the base when I got a call that the boy did not.
Oh dear.
So there are a lot of stories. There's a story of a community leader, you know, who kept on telling me that his life is a danger by virtue of the fact that he has been supportive to security agencies who are working in the general area that he superintends, so to say. So anyway, we now made an arrangement where he was living somewhere, but in the morning he will leave where he was at that time to the community, to his own community. So one morning in the forest, you know, the bandits got hold of him.
Oh dear.
You know, kidnapped him and subsequently executed. So there are moments that, you know, there are moments that are so, that will make one so emotional, and there are also moments that you also feel that all hope is lost, despite all the sacrifices, despite all the best that you have given in. You know, you will just hear another narrative that is completely off the truth of the thing. So it's also very, it's also quite challenging. Then there are also moments where you are in the thick of the problem. One day, we were traveling to a particular frontline location in Kaduna State with the military. So maybe 20 or 25 kilometers to that very location, suddenly we came under attack.
Oh dear.
You know,
oh wow.
I could see how the troops were they were at their best. You know, there was panic. You know, some of our drivers who are civilians, they have never experienced.
They've never seen this.
You know, all of us we have to go to the ground to take cover.
Wow.
You know, so but we made it. So and on and on and on. So I have so many examples of this, especially for me. I was never 100% Dex or office commissioner. No, I was there. I followed the troops, and it made me to appreciate, to really understand that this is what our men in uniform go through for us to have a life. Despite the fact that my father was a soldier, you know, a veteran, you know, of other peacekeeping mission, and the Nigerian Civil War as well,
Okay.
with brothers relations, who are men in the uniform. But I never have the opportunity to experience the half of what men in uniform go through until when I was saddled with the responsibility. Now I'm in contact with parents of our men in uniform, some of whom have paid the supreme price with their life. I'm in contact with their wives, and they are in contact. So I have now I understand it better, and that is why wherever I am, I have a lot of respect. Whosoever that enlisted into the armed forces and other uniform jobs or agencies, he has made a huge sacrifice, and they demand or they deserve our utmost respect, by virtue of the fact that they have given their lives so that our country and sovereignty will be preserved, come what may.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Subnational units in Nigeria seldom have a designated cabinet member for internal security or being in charge of internal security. It's often considered a federation level role. Yet you served. How did you manage coordinating between your capacities in the state government, which you could control, as well as the federal agencies?
It was unique. It was unique, and it was interesting. Before the creation of a ministry dedicated to security at the state, at the state level, at the subnational, the secretary to the state government, used to, be the liaison between the state government and security forces that are operating in the state. And at that time, in that arrangement, the state government is not involved in intelligence gathering. The state government is also not involved in other classified activities. All aim at enhancing security. What used to happen is there's a security council. The state government will be briefed about what the action agencies, unraveled. There was no clear-cut coordination, and there was also conflict. What citizens will say is different from what other citizens will say. There is a kind of diametric opposite. There was no coordination. There was no coordination of the government side. So now, when the ministry was created, the ministry was given about 3 to 4 clear mandates, and it was gazetted. And it was one has to do with liaison with security agencies. The other has to do with coordination of intelligence gathering, coordination of internal security, and home affairs aspect of it. And there was also key performance indicators, meaning that it was well carved out. So now, what we do, the state was also generating intelligence. We also invested massively in setting up human intelligence networks across the state. And every day we're doing intelligence collection. As we are collecting intelligence, we're documenting the intelligence. As we are documenting this intelligence are forwarded to the action agencies. So just like you have a news agency in the media, where the news agency will have subscribers. So what we are also doing in the ministry was, as we are collecting intelligence, we are also filing this, disseminating this intelligence to the agencies, and we also map out the entire state. The footprints of security forces can't cover every aspect of the state.
That is true.
So we also create access. We are also accessible. Now within the traditional cycle or the traditional institutions, we also have an arrangement where whatever that is spotted from an area, all areas falls under chiefdom or emirate, under district, village head, ward head. So we have all these settings. So all these information flows. And in the ministry, we also set up communications room, communications operations room. Now, wherever citizens are, whether they are in Wasa in Sanga, whether they are in Kuyelo in Benungwari, whether they are in Kutura in Kajuru local government, Cameroon Chawe in Kauru local government, Damakaswa in Kauru, wherever they are across the state. Once you have an information that, I have noticed an unusual movement of some people, once you report to the control room, wherever I am in the world, I will get to see, whether by phone, whether by message. Now, when I see this message, I'll quickly process the message. I'll quickly process the intelligence and quickly share the intelligence to agencies. I'll give you an example. One day in 2023, I just entered Abuja. On entering Abuja, then I saw a distress message coming from a particular area that I will not mention.
Of course.
So immediately when I saw that message, what I need to do was to just quickly, I know who the message should go to. The Air Force. By virtue of the terrain. And the message goes there. After 1 hour, 30 minutes, there was operational feedback that we could see that Air Force went there
had done something.
and they have done something. So, and the managing internal security again has to do with you being diplomatic. Because dealing with military, with police, with intelligence agencies, you have to earn their trust.
Absolutely.
You have to respect them.
Absolutely.
You have to value them. I don't wait in my office to say that I will make a phone call to someone. I have to be there when there's a problem in the barracks that is linked with troops who are part of internal security operations. I have to be there. To show empathy, whether to rejoice or otherwise. So, and with that, we're able to win confidence.
Trust.
So these are some of the things that we did. We're very responsive at all events that is related with security forces. We are there, to show face, to also give our moral support by going there physically. And most of the intelligence that we were given, it also reduced pressure, on the side of the military. Because the security forces can be fighting and also be sourcing
at the same time.
So with intelligence coordination, we were able to achieve so much. And along the line again, CIMIC, civil military cooperation is very important as well. Now, we were able to ensure that there's a good relationship, between the civil society and also the military. And more so, if you look at what we call command philosophy of the various chief of defense staffs that we work with, service chiefs, virtually everything tilted around people-centric.
People-centric security.
And also joint environment, jointness.
Joint operations.
No, jointness means that no single branch, of the military can be on its own. The police need the support of the military. The military also need the support of the police. So as a government, you have to be in the you have to close that gap. Okay, you relate very well with the military, you do the same thing with the police, you do the same thing with the DSS, do the same thing with the custom. You bring all security agencies together, and we are having a coordinating point, a hub where all of us were meeting, and we are doing a lot of intelligence sharing, and we are monitoring. For instance, if something is happening in a particular location that we provided the intelligence, there's a follow-up that we also do. So immediately we have filed in the first intelligence that was received. And another development is, imagine we equally do the same thing, so that we cover all the gap, So these are many more that are unexplainable, that we cannot be able to explain. So working as Commissioner of Internal Security was quite interesting. We've been able to have a clear agenda. The agenda is basically nothing but national security, law and order. This is what this is what we did, and we remain in contact. Some that we work with them in Kaduna rose to become service chiefs, and some also rose to prominent positions of authority, and it's a brotherhood, because anything that has to do with security, it's very emotional.
Absolutely.
And one other thing that I've learned again in security management is you have to be prompt, you have to be fast, you have to be accessible. You can't be in this business and be inaccessible. One phone call if you miss.
So, sir, you have cautioned against collapsing all violence into identity and marginalization narratives. How does that simplification affect real decision making inside security institutions?
Well, generalization is not good. In every society, in every ethnicity and faith, you have deviants. And you can't use one brush, okay, to paint everyone black. What we should be after is the action of individuals. The action of a deviant, will determine what should be done to that deviant. And already, we're not living in Banana Republic. We are living in a country. Our laws have spelled out exactly how deviance should be handled. And if you look at the way we are, the way we have lived, you cannot be able to separate people from the complex nature of our society. It's like going to the market to say that you are going to separate those that have come to the market on the basis of their ethnicity. It will be very, very difficult. So what I am saying is this: identity is good, diversities are good, they are source of strength. They should be source of strength, but where identities are manipulated, where identities are manipulated negatively, is not good for us. And we have experience to see. Look at what happened in Rwanda. The crisis between the Hutus and the Tutsis. There are issues around marginalization. There are issues about power and control. There are issues where some people felt that others have an edge over them. But it's not all people, like I said, that are deviant, so to say. Now, in the course of the genocide in Rwanda, we have seen how Hutus, who are thought to be moderate, okay, we are also
killed.
we are also killed. So what we are trying to say with this concept of reframing narrative is only the guilt should be made to suffer, to bear the consequences of their guilt. That is the law and order. That is our recourse to the law. That is how civilized society, modern society. And when you look at the principles of democracy, that has to do with the rule of law, that has to do with the equality, that has to do with social justice. Simply because a member of my ethnic group committed a crime doesn't mean that I should pay for it.
Absolutely.
And the same thing, simply because a member of your ethnic group, we carry multiple identities, religious identity, professional identities. It's not justifiable for someone who did not commit an offense, to be made to pay for a particular offense. There is no justice. All deviants have identities. All deviants must have identity. Just like all good people
also have identities.
Also have an identity. So essentially, it is a wake-up call that as journalists, as media practitioners, we should be able to go deep. We should be able to use the media and build a society where law and order will become order of the day.
So, Brother Aruwan, what would a successful non-kinetic intervention actually look like from inside government? Not rhetorically, but practically.
Leadership. We have deficit in infrastructure. There is absence of governance in so many locations where criminals take advantage of that. The justice system should be strengthened. Policing should also be strengthened. All these things, when you combine them together, they will create a better place for us.
Okay.
And aggrieved parties with genuine grievances must be respected. Okay. Now, for instance, farmers whose produce
has been destroyed
deliberately,
yes,
by the Casitrand pastoralists.
Yes.
You should be able to listen to them.
Yes.
And give them justice. On the other side, again, legitimate cattle owners, whose cattle have been
rustled or poisoned,
or poisoned, or who suffer the brunt, simply because the identity of some criminals is traceable to their own identity, and they are made to suffer. We should be able to have
redress.
Redress. Everybody should be treated fairly. So these are the larger scope of non-kinetic. But again, those who have taken kidnapping of Nigerians, cattle rustle, illegal mining, arms trafficking, and drugs peddling, exposing citizens into excruciating situation, who have made an economy out of banditry and terrorism. The laws are very clear,
yes,
as to how to go about
law enforcement.
How to go about them is very clear.
So young people now shape narratives faster than institutions can respond.
Yeah.
What responsibility should they carry in either stabilizing or inflaming conflict environments?
No, we have to work very hard so that we influence the young people, so that they should carry a positive narrative. Now, when you look at our demography, a majority that constitute our demography are young.
Yes.
The young.
The youth
people.
bulge.
Yeah. So, and the consequences of the youth bulge if you don't manage them well.
Yes.
You saw what happened with the Arab Spring.
Yes.
You see other social unrest in other parts of
countries.
In other countries. So we need to catch them young. We don't need to leave them slip off our hands. They need to be empowered. They need to undergo a certain reorientation to see the importance of Nigeria as a country, the benefit of staying together, the benefits of staying together, sharing our brotherhood together, like our anthem, like it is in our anthem. So we need to do a lot, and we also need to give them hope, because when you look at the negative narrative, of the youth bulge, there's no hope. That's what the narrative is trying to say.
Tries to push.
The narrative does not support hard work. The narrative is saying that you can only succeed if you have connections. The narrative is saying that you'll be hearing some aphorisms that who could help. What they're saying is now who connection help.
Yes.
And you see, the monetization and commercialization of our society also no good. We are shaping our societies with a belief that only when you have money, that is when it matters. Everybody is important. Let's shape the narrative that with hard work you have no limitation. With hard work, wherever you come from, irrespective of your situation, irrespective of who your father is, whether your father is prominent or not prominent, whether a son of a driver can rise to become someone very prominent in the society. This is how we build a society. But if our young population is seeing that hard work does not pay, what pays is Yahoo. There could going to be a problem. Recently, I'm studying something, in Kaduna. There is a certain drug that is being produced by young men in Kaduna. It's called Colos. Yes, I was made to understand that it is produced from dry bones, human bones.
Wow.
That some will go as far as graveyards, to assume dry bones, and there's a way that they make it and make a substance out of it, to the extent that once someone sniff it, that is going to feel high. It's just like a toxic, intoxicating.
Intoxicant,
So you can begin to see what do we really do, what do we really do to address this problem. So we have a lot to do. So I believe that positively capturing our young people with positive stories, with positive mindset, and let them see it practicalizing, let them be given opportunities, let people see the benefit of education. The benefit of education is not in doubt. The benefit of education is empirical, so let's practicalize it. You understand? Let's see the benefit of hard work. The benefit of hard work is not something that is hidden. The benefit, whosoever that works very hard should be rewarded. The system should let's build a system where you don't need to know anybody.
Merit.
A meritocracy society. So these are some of the things that I think we should be able to do, so that we influence our young population, so that they too could also influence their peers in a very positive way.
So, my final question. Nigeria has had no shortage of early warning signals, so many coming from several places. From your vantage point, why do they so often fail to trigger timely action?
It's a very complicated issue, and it has a long history. Like we said, we have early warnings and intelligence in abundance. But again, you have to look at the bureaucracy. You have to look at the complicated nature. Now, look at the history of Ametetine, for example, who first came to Kano in 1955. And by 1962, he was convicted. After he was found to be preaching without permission, and other offenses, and the matter was treated. And after a while, when he served the term, he was deported from Kano back to Marwa in Cameroon. But when the then Emir Muhammadu Sanusi I, after he was he left the throne, or he was the throne or thereabout, he snuck his way back into Kano. By 72, 73 again, he was caught up in the same violation, so to say.
Yeah.
He was imprisoned somewhere in Makurdi or thereabout. After that, he sneaked back again. To cut the story short, in December 1980, it is said that over 5,000 lives
were lost.
And while he was hibernating in Kano, he was breeding elements somewhere in Bulunkutu in Borno State, which also exploded in 1982, and there was problem in Kaduna, I think Yola, and also in Gombe through one of his lieutenant, popularly known as Musa Bakaniki. And the same trend, if you look at what happened with the insurgency that we are battling now, there were signs that something unusual is coming, but so we need to be responsive citizens, to support our security forces, to also support government, not to be tolerant of elements who will later turn out to be threats to national security and stability. For instance, if you read the book authored by the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Loki Irabo, where it was estimated that over 2,700 officers and men of the armed forces
died,
lost in the course of this insurgency. So you can see the huge loss. You can see the impact on education, the impact of healthcare service delivery, the impact of food security and livestock, the impact on social cohesion, the impact of in infrastructural development. You see the impact is so wide. Enrollment is a problem.
Yes.
This is a region that is battling with enrollment. When you look at this, it also adds more problem to the rural economy. As food security, investment. Can't be able. We can't be able to have good investment. Look at how so many industries will have to fold up. Look at issues of unemployment. But imagine if things were well, the bulk of our youthful population will be employed,
engaged,
will be engaged. The bulk of boys and girls who are roaming over towns or streets, because they are orphaned, looking after them is a problem. You just look at the entire social crisis, that we have found ourselves in. So that is enough to say that the ripple effect, of security, added with the natural reaction that we're discussing, the crisis of environment. You can see some rivers are drying up.
Yes.
You can see some areas that used to be grassy and what have you. Even if you look at some hills or mountains that used to be greenish, so to say, you see, you can see they are also drying up. Some wild animals, or some friendly wild animals, so to say, who used to beautify our environment, give us a natural feeling of environment, they are gradually depleting. So every day you see issues with poachers also.
Poachers.
Poachers and whatever. Many of our children don't know eagle,
hawks,
hyenas, and what have you. You imagine Yankari reserves, imagine the Kamoko Park, so there are quite a lot of things, that we really need to. We hope things will be better someday.
Okay. Violence rarely begins with weapons. It begins with pressure on land, water, on livelihoods, and with the stories we use to explain these pressures. What this conversation makes clear is that when conflict is misnamed or simplified, responses follow the same path, often arriving too late or in the wrong form. For young people across Nigeria, the task is not to inherit blame from others, but to exercise good judgment. The narratives you question, repeat, or even reject shape whether environmental stress becomes collective problem solving or whether it becomes organized violence. Prevention begins long before deployment, with clarity, restraint, and institutions willing to listen early. Peace is quietly built through language, governance, and choices made before crisis. Thank you.